Yo, today's gonna be a good day because I get to use real wood instead of plywood. I still love you, plywood. So yes, we are using some mahogany here. And I know I said that funny, but first I gotta make something for a wedding. Ain't that right? You know what weddings are? They produce things like that. Things? He's my son. He's a human being. It is beautiful. Anyway, I digress. Back to this wedding project for the client that needed one of the more obscure things I've ever made for a venue. So, as it turns out, the client found the perfect venue to get married. However, there's gonna be a manhole cover where the pictures are being taken. This is gonna be part of the solution. So I'm using some of these bench nuts from Carbon Method. They kind of replace all the cookies you may have lying around in the shop, and they do a great job. They're bigger, they're a little bit more robust, and they're really inexpensive. And they're kind of like disposable, so use them as you need. This is a edger. Now, if you don't know what an edger is, insert joke here, this basically paints trim, and I love these pads. Honestly, if I'm painting anything that's relatively small like this, my go-to is this. It leaves really awesome brush lines, even though it's not a brush. And it's a really nice cohesive way to paint. I love it. I'm essentially going to be doing 3 coats. I'm going to lightly sand in between each one, and then we're going to put this thing onto the laser engraver. So a bit more about what I'm doing. This is a piece of plywood, 52 by 38. And it's going to be covering a manhole that evidently, after all this planning in someone's wedding, well, they were going to have the manhole be in the pictures. They found the perfect picture spot, but they needed something to cover this thing, so I'm happy to oblige.
Lily! Lilia!
Come on. After a few high fives with my boy, it's on to do some test cuts. This is basically what I'm going to be doing. And you see here on this little piece of wood, this test, well, it only took roughly about 2.5 minutes to do that raster pass, that engraving. Now, the piece of wood I'm using, you saw it. It's big, right? 54 by 38. That says it's going to take 4 hours and 20 minutes, and there's no getting around it. We just had to do it, and there is the result. 3 coats of white paint, laser engraved to put the logo of the lovely couple to cover up a manhole. Okay, now I want to share with you a little tidbit of information about my daughter's project. Yes, her idea. I didn't discuss this in the last video, but these artist push sticks, watch. Those artist push sticks were teaching my daughter that her ideas can be creative and they can actually earn rewards, like make you money. So every one of these artist push sticks that is purchased for $10, $5 of it is going straight to her. And not that I'm using that as a marketing ploy, but I will say this. I want to teach her that her idea has some clout, even at 9 years old. So they're going to be linked down below, along with right now, my French cleats are shipping for free, but you got to order over $100 worth. So right now, $100 or more on the website will ship for free. Plus those artist push sticks, well, $5 of the 10 goes to her. So I'm out here hard at work getting these things ready for this campaign. Now, I am sanding these myself with the Surf Prep electric ray. This is such a great finish sander. My goodness, it puts a delicate and buttery smooth finish on this thing. And I would give my daughter all $10 if she was out here sanding them herself. Am I right? Now for what you came for, some real woodworking, kinda. Over a year ago, I made these types of panels here. They're backed with plywood, go figure. But they're pretty cool, right? Can you see? They're basically cypress cookies that are encased in a bunch of resin. And I was gonna use these for a table at some point and I didn't. Today, let's use them. Okay, so I just cut that on the table saw and I'm not gonna do that. I've got that cut there, but really what I wanna do is I'm gonna put this over on the Avid CNC and I'm gonna essentially, what am I trying to say here? I'm gonna leave some of this plywood as like a protruding square. I'm gonna carve out the rest of this and then cut this completely out. Let me show you here on Vectric what I mean. So I've got some shapes here that are representative of what's going on over on the CNC. Now, if I show you these tool paths here, and let's go ahead and preview it. What's gonna happen, let's get rid of the waste. This is what essentially I'm gonna be making. See that? See how it's got that square still protruding? So basically this is plywood and this is gonna be the resin stuff. So let's go do it. So anytime you cut something a little obscure like this, it's always best to hang around, kind of see what's going on. I'm not saying ever leave your CNC to do its work while you go to lunch and whatever. But anyway, it turned out pretty cool. It actually did exactly what I wanted it to do. And yeah, so I repeated this twice on the other piece as well. And everything you're seeing me do here, I'm going to do twice. But I'm only going to show it to you once, because what's the point? We're taking an 1/8 inch round over. I realized it didn't cut in just enough, and now I've lowered the bit a bit. Yeah, and it worked out great. So there's a round over on the top. I'm using some of this low adhesion tape to kind of square off that square and get a template, which was a stupid idea, and I'll explain that here in a second. But these are basically, I don't know, maybe a little over 1/2 inch pieces of mahogany. And I'm just going to put them together like so. I had these long strips sitting around for who knows how long, and now it was time to use them. So, and like I said, I'm doing some woodworking, but not really. I mean, I'm just using glue and brads and, yeah, some fancier wood than I'm used to. And I'm not worried about, book matching. I'm not worried about doing all kinds of different techniques that some people would cringe if they saw me doing it the way I'm doing it. But here's the deal. At the end of the day, I don't care. I really don't care if I see end grain, if everything's not mitered together. It does not matter whatsoever. It's going to serve its purpose, and I built it. And honestly, I sound like a woodworker who's been only doing it for 20 minutes, and that might be true. And here's that horrible idea for the tape. I was like, yeah, what am I doing? Let's try something interesting. So I went over to the laser. I'm going to put down basically a template of cardboard. I cut out the top of this piece of mahogany. And then I'm going to try to cut the square that was the relief cut on the CNC into this. Took me a while, not going to lie. I should have just drilled a hole in the corner and cut it out with a jigsaw, and Bob would have been your uncle. But I decided to almost set my shop on fire again. Just kidding. I was there. It was under control the whole time. But yeah, ridiculous. So because I'm trying to put out a video every week these days, I need to do this in one day. And what's going to help me do that is a little bit of 2-part epoxy. This is just standard run-of-the-mill stuff you get from the store, and you mix it together on some cardboard or what have you, and then you spread it to where you need it. And I evidently didn't make enough. So you're going to see I'm going to spread this pretty thin, and even thinner on the next one. But you know what? I said, I think there's enough on there. Let's go ahead and load them up and put some weight on and see what happens. I think some of us know about putting some weight on, if you catch my drift. Anyway, we're going to put on some Danish oil. This reminds me, honestly, the smell of this Danish oil. I haven't used this product in forever. Just bought it from Home Depot. And it just takes me back to when I started woodworking like in an apartment in my late 20s. Pretty crazy. Now, if you recognize this space, congratulations. You've watched that video. If not, go find it. It's on my channel. The edge of this sectional, relatively new couch for us, it needed some love. Now there's a table on this side of the couch, but there's no table over here. So I figured this would be a nice place to put a plate, some drinks, and it looks like it's working out pretty well. I am so ecstatic about how this turned out. Honestly, the colors are a little funny with the gray, but it works. It's fine. And yes, there's an oven mitt there because we got kids, and I figured I'll leave it in the video. Why not? Don't just make this place all pristine for the video. Real life, ladies and gentlemen. See, the tripod's even over there. And the dog. Oh, that dog. And a little insight, right? Here's a glimpse inside for you. I started this channel in 2017 editing on a phone, and guess what? I still do it the same way. And there we have it. Thanks, guys, for the support. You are awesome. If you're tuning in these last few weeks, I really appreciate it. Don't forget, my artist push stick is on the website available. The campaign to help my daughter really realize that her ideas really matter. Pretty cool idea. And also, $100. All you got to spend to get free shipping right now. And this is the time if you want to load up on French cleats. I do the hard work for you. I cut them at a 45. Check them out. Everything's down below.